Hello, everybody, and welcome to the return of Apex After Hours. Fallout here, joined alongside my co-host in Snip3down, and boy, oh boy, it is good to be back. A lot to talk about. A lot has happened over the last month. I'm going to break it all down, of course. We do have Snip3down. We have AJ Hawk and Designful live on the show. We're going to be covering quite a bit today to talk through. Obviously, we're going to be coming through Rostermania. We'll be doing a LAN recap, talking through all things Split 1 playoffs. We'd have to give our flowers to Reject Winity for taking home the tournament dub, first APAC North team to do so. So we'll be talking about LAN. We'll be talking about the new no contest drop system, whether these guys like it or not. Are they starting to like it? How do you in chat feel? And then, of course, we'll be talking about Esports World Cup qualifiers and early Week 0 Pro League predictions. We'll be wrapping up with State of Apex Legends, third-party community events, giving some love to the many, many third-party tournament organizers out there, getting some closing thoughts from everybody. So that's the agenda for today. I'm excited to jump right into it with our very first topic of the day, which is all things LAN recap. Hell of a LAN. All three of you guys had a chance to be there. I was celebrating Greek Easter. I was not there. APAC North team wins it. AJ, I know you were the most excited, perhaps, of many people. I want to start with you. What are your thoughts on Reject Winity winning the tournament and what that means for APAC North and Global Apex Legends?
I think it's huge. I think it's a very historic moment for Apex. Coming into this LAN, a lot of people were saying that APAC North was the worst region. And I think that it was a pretty fair criticism because as we've seen throughout the years, APAC North has only really had a couple teams that have actually been able to make it to finals lobbies. Reject has been one of those consistent teams even back when they were Realize and Fun 123. But I do think that this, because I actually got to talk to Obley last night, I think that based on talking to him, he's very excited to see how this motivates the other players in the region because there's kind of been this cloud over them, obviously, because of those opinions that the rest of the world has, where they've kind of bought into it and they've kind of believed that maybe we're not good enough. Maybe it's all the North American teams. It's a couple APAC South, maybe a few EMEA, but we really haven't been able to get to the top outside of one or two teams kind of sneak into that top 5. Now, not only does Reject win, but Fnatic places third. I think this is such a huge moment for the region, and I'm really excited to see how the rest of the teams can respond.
Yeah, and on that note, you said besides one or two teams placed in top 5, Fnatic was one of the teams that has placed top 5 in the past and has showed consistency. They get third place as well, so it wasn't just Reject. APAC North showed up really well overall. Designful, I want to get your take. Obviously, you competed against them. You were in that lobby. What worked so well for that team? What really made them stand out? What do you think was going in their favor?
I think if you look at the winners finals lobby, a lot of those teams that got through from the winners finals were there. The Bloodhounds were on mouse and key. I knew this was I knew that was going to be insane from the very beginning. That's why I was trying to push Timmy on Bloodhound so hard because if you're a controller Bloodhound, you're going to get slammed. At the top of the top, when you're playing out of your mind, the mouse and key Bloodhound's going to win every single day of the week. You don't have aim assist. Like they have their whole arm. It's just a better formula. Bang Blood combo, both of them being on MNK is just ridiculous, and I think it showed during this tournament.
And Zev, break that down a little bit more for maybe some viewers that are a little bit newer. What's the reasoning you think you put your MNK player on Blood? If you have one MNK player on your team, you think they go to Blood or Bang? Why?
Bloodhound, for
Why
sure,
is that?
because I mean it's basically that's your hard carry during these fights. A lot of these fights at LAN were just all in bang smoke. Whenever a team gets cracked or gets like low, they're gonna pop a defensive bang smoke. Whenever they're pushing, they're gonna pop an aggressive bang smoke. There's always gonna be bang smoke. So you want to have your most mechanically gifted player that's not on an input that has, that they rely on augmented aim. You want them on your Bloodhound for sure.
Not to mention there's a Bangalore on both teams, so there's going to be 3 to 4 Bang Smokes in that fight at some
Yeah.
point. That's well said. Give it to the person with wall hacks. Makes total sense. Eric, I want to get your take on. I think we covered APAC North, their legacy. We covered their game style and gameplay, which is a bit different. I want to get your take on triple MNK. What do you think a triple MNK winning means for the MNK versus or mouse and keyboard versus controller debate, if anything?
I mean, I think I've touched on this a decent amount. I said in the past, I have a tweet that specifically says if you're an MNK player that thinks that they can't keep up with controllers just because of this debate that's going on, then that's just a poor mentality because we have constantly seen on LANs MNK players be kill leaders. The leaderboard is usually pretty 50-50 in terms of controllers, mouse and keyboards, kill leader, and that's with more controllers at these events than MNK players anymore. And I think, especially with the way the meta is right now, Bank Smokes and Bloodhounds, I think that honestly, one controller player on a team is perfectly fine. People have been testing the 3 controller players on a team, and this current meta, I think, favors MK with the Bang Blood meta in a lot of scenarios, especially these team fighting scenarios where it's really difficult. I mean, I don't know how many times that I play comp and the end game is Catalyst Walls, Bloodhound Smokes, Caustic Gas, and all these things that can remove, vision and things from controller players that MKs have advantage of. So I think it's pretty even right now. And I mean, especially look at like Zero is a prime example of someone that I think is top of the game in terms of his mechanical ability and the way that he shoots his gun. So I think it's got a great space in the scene right now, and it's huge for the scene overall.
Did a big thing of caffeine pills too. I knew Dark Zero was gonna be good.
Wired.
Right at the walkout, dude. I saw this big bottle of caffeine pills. I was like, whose are those? And Zero's like, oh, mate, that's fine. That's fine. In my bottle right there. Got this in my iced tea.
Was he carrying them out during the walkout, or you're talking about on stage?
Yeah. We were just sitting there at the walkout, and I saw like a whole thing of caffeine pills because I have those. I had that same bottle at home. I'm like, who's got those? Who's that? And Jen's like, oh, that's ours. I'm like, okay.
Bro, y'all hear that Strafing Flames just downing pre-workout before sets?
Oh my gosh, dude. No.
I'm just gonna listen. It could be a lot worse, and I don't think Adderall is a predominant use of a drug in Apex as it was in Eric's Halo days and Call of Duty and other games. So it could be a lot worse. I'd rather there's legal over-the-counter substances being used for caffeine and the lock-in.
Yeah, Rhino pills are great.
Yeah, you've been promoting those for a while now, huh?
Wow. You're wild. Jayhawk, any final thoughts? I know Jumba had an awesome video, if you guys haven't seen it, why 7 pro Apex teams fought for this position in the last game of LAN. I'm sure you saw that. You're a student of the game. Any kind of final thoughts on Reject Winity in that final game and the LAN from a Reject perspective?
Yeah, I actually did want to bring up that when you look at a lot of the past LANs, the team who won, it was often a circle that really benefited them. And Reject, Obley told me that when they saw the circle, they thought they were screwed. Like they thought it's a game where they're going to be playing for, potential kills and just try to go crazy. And then when they saw Dark Zero fly in to fight E8, they knew. They were like, okay, we have to third this and we have to hold that spot. And they did it perfectly. It's a big moment. And I think it just goes to show triple MNK. They're not landing at one of the OP, POIs like Siphon or Sky West that, historically we've seen teams win from. They're landing staging checkpoint. And they're from the worst region and they still were able to get it done. So what's everybody else's excuse?
Best damn summary. My heart just dropped in excitement.
My excuse is SSG. SSG backing out of that fight. I'm pissed about that one because we know Dark Zero is going to fight that spot. They do it every time. So we were sitting there right next to Reject waiting. And SSG went to go fight it too. And then they just ran away. Did nothing. Kind of phony if you ask me, right, Snipe? Kind of phony if you ask me.
He's letting you take the hit, bro.
Starting strong. Yeah. Starting strong and starting hot.
Let's lead up to it, huh?
That's right. He's leading up to the topic everyone wants to hear. Yeah, we'll definitely get to that at some point, maybe a little later. But no, with that said, Jack, that's a perfect summary, man. I think kind of to wrap up the 3 different distinct stories there that you kind of laid out in perfection. APAC North winning and showing that they can compete against the best, and I think a lot of fans on Reddit in general have been feeling that for a while, and they showed. Triple MNK team showing that maybe the MNK controller debate isn't as hype in favor of controllers everyone thinks it is, perhaps, especially in this current meta. And then lastly, the POI debate, which obviously is going to lead into our discussion here in a little bit around the new no contest drop system, which is going to be a fun discussion. But with that, speaking of contests, we have to cover it. It was one of the funniest and most entertaining stories in the tournament. The E8 versus Falloutt or 07 Naskian team contest. That went down at LAN. For those that aren't aware, I'll start by just stating what happened, which was a contest for Cedo Station between Zach Mazur's E8 and Falloutt or 07, Nasky and the European boys. They were up 5-0 over E8, yet E8 refused to stop contesting, which arguably could have hurt 07's game quite a bit. And then the biggest story is a lot of people saw, and it obviously went viral, mid-game during a break, an analyst desk break, Nasky and the team went over, tapped Talmadge in the shoulder, tapped Zach Major, like, guys, we're up 5-0. When is this madness going to end? And Zach and E8 exchanged some comments and exchanged some words as a result as well. So, Snipe, I want to start with you. From your take on that entire situation. You were watching it as a fan and got to enjoy it in the stands there. What are your thoughts on that contest between those two teams?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely enjoyable. I mean, Nasky should have gone 6-0 if they didn't want Zach to keep contesting because he dropped a 30-point game after that. So, or something along those lines. It was an insane game after they finally won a contest, and they definitely weren't leaving after that. I I mean, I got to give Nasky props. If there's one thing that he trains his team really well in, it's contest. Like, he's been contested at pretty much every single land. His teams usually win the contest, and he can't seem to get away from them. He doesn't back down from them. And, so I mean, props to them, because starting 5-0 is impressive against any top team. And I think Zach's team at that tournament showed that they were one of the better teams. Apparently, Zach told me straight up that they didn't win a single game throughout the entire last Pro League, and then went to LAN, and they were the third most winning team at the entire LAN. So for me, if you're getting contested by a team that's as good as contesting as them, and if you look at the stats, they were very successful from checkpoint throughout that entire LAN. They generated a lot of points. I think it would have been a lot easier for them to contest Reject, who is the triple MK, and they won the tournament from checkpoint where E8 had been landing, to go contest them than another team with as good of shooters as Nasky's at that POI. So they were familiar with checkpoint, and they chose to contest Nasky team instead of going to something that they're all still comfortable with. Reject wins the LAN. I heard there was some debates within the team on whether they wanted to even keep contesting or not. That apparently Zach was the only person that wanted to contest at that POI, and while they were going to contest, he kept drilling it that they're gonna contest no matter what. So maybe that caused some turmoil with the team after it all happened, and that might be why a part of the breakdown of alliances or whatever the heck happened there. I mean, there was definitely some things that went down, and we see what happened with that roster, and it's not the same. And I think that team had a ton of potential, and could have gone to waste to see what they would have done if they had a POI more to themselves at that tournament.
Previewed it perfectly, and as a result, E8, who played really well, I think throughout the many points in the tournament, ended up getting 16th in the finals. When you lose that many contests, you're not going to perform well. So that argument arguably cost them a significant amount of prize pool potentially, as opposed to kind of dropping your ego and going somewhere else after you lose the first, second, or third contest. But Design, you teamed with Zach, and I remember a moment where I can't remember if it was you that wanted to contest Hal and TSM when they qualified and you guys didn't in the last couple weeks of Pro League for Split 2 of last year, or was the other way around. But Zach better than most folks here, having teamed with him. Your thoughts on that decision and the matter?
I'm confused about that motherfucker. I don't know, man. He's so hard headed, and like when he makes a decision, that's the decision. But like the decision when we were contesting TSM was not to fucking contest them, even when we were beating them on the jump ship. I'm smoking them on the jump ship, and we just 3-0'd them. We literally just 3-0'd them in the day of scrims before, and I wanted to contest so bad, and he's like, no, we're not going to contest. We're not going to contest. Now all of a sudden he goes to LAN, and this guy LAN finals, he's like, yeah, we are contesting. We are doing this. Like, I swear that guy, if something gets made up in his brain, you are not getting it out of it. You're not getting out of it. He's stubborn for sure.
Most stubborn pro award. That was now. I do remember you brought
actually. Yeah, he might win that.
I think he does. Yeah, you were jogging my memory. It was the opposite. He did not want to. You did, and the odds were in your favor. You had 3-0'd him in online. It was in scrims previously or previous.
It was the day before.
It was the day before scrims. Yep.
And then they won that next LAN. They were like they were actually not about to qualify for LAN. Like they were right on the fringe, and then they ended up winning that day, I think, and qualified because of it.
And you guys didn't qualify because like barely by what 2 or 3 placements. Does that? It was close, right?
Yeah, something like that. I don't even remember any of that, honestly. It's all good. That was during my slump.
Washed it all for your memory. You're on disguise now. You're chilling.
That was during my slump when everyone was like, I was washed. I need to retire. People still say it. It's all good.
And I want to ask too, Jayhawk, you obviously been following Rostermania very closely. Snipe alluded to it, and Snipe, I'm glad that's a great analysis and breakdown. Do you think that was a part of the reason Talmadge and Zap made a move and are now trialing, not officially signed, but trialing with TSM?
For Zap, I don't know if it really affected things. It might have. It doesn't sound like it really has from everything I've heard from him. But for Talmadge, I don't think it was the reason, but I think it probably played a part. I think it was probably a symptom of maybe their cohesion within the team. Clearly there was disagreements on that. Were there other disagreements before that that led to this where, like, he said the whole thing of, I'm going to LFT if we do this. So I don't know. I do think that there was probably some stuff behind the scenes that we don't all know about that relationship, just in terms of probably the ways they go about all the game plan and everything. That certainly was a factor. I think it would be a little ignorant to say it wasn't at least somewhat involved in the decision to leave.
It was all part of my get back, my master plan against the Mazer.
Petty ass designful, man.
I waited perfectly until E8 had a couple bad scrim days in a row, finished my trial, fucking layup to Zap right into there. I was like, yo, you should probably check out Zap and Talmadge. Fucking disbanded. All part. I planted the seeds. You thought I was done?
Calculated.
You thought I was done? No.
The best
We're
masterminds
on our
work,
get
work
back
in the
right now.
shadows, all right?
Yeah.
Making some Joker
Like
arc
that
over
video
here.
said, a domino. Setting dominoes over here.
Oh, we
Knock
got
them
that. We
over.
got that graphic coming. Don't
I'm
worry.
not joining,
Yeah,
but I
so-
have the perfect person you guys should message.
Did y'all hear the story
The
by the
whole
way,
thing was
of what Zach said to 07 when they walked over?
I think we were talking about that a little bit, and
Yeah.
I just heard about some of the stuff that was being said, and it was a wild conversation. So.
Nasky
Yeah,
said
he
it on
said he gotta
stream.
drop. You gotta drop
He
it.
said it on stream. Talmadge said it in an interview on the Apex podcast. So apparently, Zach, when they came over, Nasky taps Talmadge on the shoulder, says this whole deal of you guys gonna leave. He grabs Zach because Zach was the only one that wanted to do it. Zach turns around. They say the whole thing, and he says, "I'm getting paid $9K to get 20th. You're getting paid 0, so we're not leaving."
Most
And that
wild thing I've
There you
heard
go.
all year.
And then they won the next game and dropped the 30-point banger. So Nasky said that he actually regrets going over there and talking to him because maybe it motivated him to go and win. I don't know.
Crazy.
If I was
Yeah,
involved in that, I would have been so mad on both ends, no matter what. Like, if I'm Nasky, I'm mad because, well, if I'm Nasky, honestly, if I'm Nasky's teammates, I'm mad because, and I don't know how much this would have changed the situation, but if I see my teammates standing up after they like win the contest and not playing the game, getting an armor swap or anything, I'm screaming at my teammate. I'm like, are you here to fucking showboat and create like and stand up and get the crowd hype, or are you here to win these games, or is it just the contest that you care about? Like, I get having passion, but after he did it the first time and then he did it the second and third and fourth time, like that's happening once and I'm shutting it down, or I'm like extremely offended as a player because they got third party right away. I definitely think it affected them a little bit, and they died right after
Especially
pretty
with
much every
DZ.
single game.
I didn't even do that against Alliance. I still had my controller in hand while I was shouting. You know, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, like I'm not like he's Mouse Kid. He literally like wasn't able to play, and then they got third immediately after that game one. And I was like, bro, like you got to always be ready. Teams are ready for this, watching for this. And then if I'm Zach's teammates, I'm obviously upset because I feel like, you know, if we're all saying we don't want to contest or we want to contest somewhere else, like you got to take your teammates into account a little bit if it's everyone against you, because that is, you know, that's something that people, if it goes right, everyone's, you know, they're, you know, thank you for sticking doing this. If it goes wrong, you're going to take the blunt of it, and everyone's going to be like, you know, what if though? You know, the one game we get to play, we drop 30. What if we didn't contest them and landed somewhere else? Like, we all could have made more money. And then if his comment was I make more than you, like, are you here to win? Like I don't know. The questions just get raised, and those are questions that I think are fair to ask, and only the players will know the answers.
Did you hear
That's
Zach
my
got
thing.
offered double too? He was getting offered 18K or something.
There's just
That's
no
what he said?
freaking way, bro. There's
Zach's
just
had
no
the
way.
best
Zach is
forward
single-handed.
Yeah,
He's
inflating salaries
single-handedly
across
scaring the
board.
orgs away.
Yeah,
he
there's
thinks
just no shot.
these orgs are thinking that we're getting paid League of Legends salaries, dude. This guy's talking to all of them, scaring them all away. We wonder
Does he
why
have a
there's no
top
fucking
five
orgs in
finish?
the game.
Does he have a top 5 finish on LAN? I don't think he does. Oh, 9 never finished top.
No,
They
but
finished, I
that's
think,
that's
10th
still
was their
crazy.
best.
There's no way, because like
No, it's not. Listen, I give a lot of love often, and his comeback story has been one of the most fun ones to watch. Don't get me wrong, but you can call a spade for sure, and I get it. And you know, with a team like that too, like if Snip3down's on that team, if Design's on that team, you're probably not contesting 5 times in a row. But Shuby and Zap, obviously younger guys, kind of newer to the scene. Zach has complete control over that team, and he definitely used it. But with that said, I want to move on from this topic. A perfect segue from talking about that contest to, of course, the new no contest drop system. Something we have to talk about. I know at first there was quite a bit of outrage, to be honest. Hal, very vocal against it. A lot of pros vocal against it. It's been a few weeks. Things have settled a little bit. You guys have had a chance to scrim, snipe, and design. Then I want to start with you. What are your thoughts on it as you've now had a chance to experience it?
I think a lot of teams have been playing by the book Apex. They are like very in their routine. You know, they have these coaches, they have analysts. They're so by the book. They play the same spots every circle. They know it's just repetitive over and over and over. And like this has literally made like the 97% of teams that play that way, it's jarring to them. That's why most of the pros don't like it. I personally, I don't care. Like, even though I love landing thermal, like this is my game. Like this is my style of game. Like just unpredictable. Do whatever you want. Like I could still play hard edge. All I need is a 2x, a sniper, and some evo caches. You know, and we'll make some. We'll mine some fucking diamonds. Okay, but I'm hyped about it. I like it. It's people have to break out of their shells. They have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? So I like it a lot though. It should be fun. But It's going to get changed back. You already know damn well, especially like
I
Hal
don't
and
think
them.
it is.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Snipes is agreeing. Snipe, go ahead.
I think the draft system is great. I think people just don't like change, especially when they're the ones who are on top. I didn't see anyone who wasn't on top say anything bad about the draft system. It was only the teams that consistently do well. And I've seen that bias from the moment I started. As soon as players get any say over competitive settings, they're going to keep the settings that their teams are performing the best on, and they're going to stick to that. And whether they think it's better or not, they're going to think it's better because that's what they're doing well on. So they're going to buy it, they're just going to inherently want that. I think the draft system is great for the fans. It's a way to keep people more involved, especially if they're showing this on lands. People picking. There's going to be more strategy that goes into it. I think it allows for the dynamic IGLs to shine on different POIs, the ones that may not have always had that can read zones really well, and they get it's a dynamic system, and I think it's fun. I mean I think contests are cool and all, but as long as the system is appropriately updated, like I don't know the whole rules by it. Like I thought the snake draft that we were doing for scrims could be better than what it is. But overall, I mean, I like it. I like the change. I think the community likes the change, and I think they're going to care more about that than what a small percentile of people at the top are saying.
would like it to where like it would be like post every game based on how you did that game is your order. Just because like getting a shit POI for an entire day is kind of bogus. Like a good team should be able to move up that list, so it rewards you for being better. Like after
Every
each
3
match you
games or
draft.
something. Every game might be tough because
Yeah.
logistically it would take
be
time.
time-wise,
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
every 3.
It
Yeah,
will
that's interesting.
benefit better
Every 3
teams on
games.
land though, because on land it's not going to be snake. If you are the best, you get
Yeah.
first and 21st. So
Yeah.
Yep. That's a good reward system.
And Jay, I'm glad you said that because I think a lot of people aren't really familiar. They haven't looked at the rules like you and I and maybe others have. Can you explain a bit more about how the logistics of how it's going to work in Pro League, how it's going to work on land, if you don't mind? Any other detail you can share with the audience here, Jayhawk?
yeah, so Pro League, it is going to be snake draft. So if you have the first pick, you also have the 40th. You can pick from either map. So the first round, you can choose World's Edge or Storm Point, and then you got to sacrifice for the other map. The way they're going to do it for Pro League is it is randomized seeding, and it's supposed to average out across all your match days to where everybody's about 10.5. It's not truly balanced because even though the first pick you do get like one really strong POI, the other one is terrible, which kind of puts a lot of pressure on one specific map. And like even though they all technically balance out to 10.5, it's sort of better to be in the middle / near the end. But that's how it works in Pro League. Then when you get to LAN, the groups are going to be based on group seedings, which I don't know exactly how that works because I know it's based on where you finish in your region, but I don't know how they determine like is the NA first place higher seeded than the APAC North first place. That I don't know. But once you get to winner, okay, gotcha. Okay, so it is weighted where the NA and APAC North regions are apparently higher. I don't know exactly how they weight it, but I'm sure based on who wins lands is probably a factor. And also like roster spots or team spots. On land, though, once you get to the bracket stage, it is going to be, once again, that first and 21st pick. So it's no longer snake draft. And the way that it determines the draft order for the finals and the Elim bracket round 2 is based on your group stage plus whatever you scored in Elim round 1 or winners. So the finals order is very heavily determined by group stage performance. So everybody making fun of Alliance for being a group stage team, they're going to have a great pick now because of all those points they put up. So yeah, that's how it's determined. It's going to be very interesting to see how it works on land because getting first in groups and winners is now like a massive advantage.
Beautiful breakdown from the GOAT himself. Appreciate that, Jayhawk. Much appreciated, explaining it perfectly for the audience here. And if you have not paid attention to any Apex at all, you're like, what in the world are they talking about? Maybe you've been living on a rock or busy with other things or life. Apex and the LGS announced maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, a new draft system. So you will no longer basically pick a POI that you want and then bully your way to getting that POI, fighting over that POI, point of interest or drop spot. There's a draft system where you will draft a place to drop going into a 6-game series that's had mixed results. And I'd say it's been pretty split down the middle, 50-50 from what I've seen, at least in the microcosm of the community. And this is why. I mean, take a look. Some of these locations, some of these drops, obviously much worse than others. And the fact that a team, that maybe has earned a spot, won't be able to get that spot is, hard pill to swallow for the teams like Dark Zero and former TSM and others who have historically gotten their pick of the litter for best POIs. Some teams that are maybe on lower in the leagues and standings have liked it more, is what has been the general argument. But overall, this is what we're seeing here. Design, you've been scrimming on this. As we'll switch over to Stormpoint as well and show both. But I want to hear your thoughts on, as you're seeing this play out, what are your thoughts on kind of the best POIs that are emerging that you've seen, balanced POIs, and the overall 20 spots that they picked where you could drop?
There's definitely certain spots that ended up getting worse, like North Pad right here with the Trident. When you don't have a Trident, it's kind of a pain in the ass because I play from North Pad. But other than that, I honestly don't really mind it. Everyone kind of tries to generally go towards like so say like with us, since we're North Pad, with my team, I told them all I want is somewhere north side of the map on Stormpoint. That's all I want, and then bottom left quadrant on World's Edge, because like as long as you can kind of get somewhere in the general area, you keep your same kind of macro.
Rotates.
It's not like the complete opposite. But this guy right here keeps taking thermal from me early. He keeps getting that pick early, so it's kind of annoying. But
Go back.
you know,
Put it back up. Put it
oh,
back
this
up.
guy right here. This guy keeps
Crazy.
claiming the keys to thermal before I can. So it's not fun. But we're making it work. We're figuring it out. There's gonna be like a lot of crazy shit.
Did you pull that up on your own screen, or was that
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, he pulled it up.
Hold that up.
Jesus
But,
Christ. He's
dude,
pulling
I
the
think you
gimmicks
can
on our own
do-
show.
Yeah, welcome to Pound Town is
A
what
thing
he's
you
saying
can
to you.
do is like during the whole week, what I'm already thinking about doing is like claiming a different POI, getting everyone to practice from this certain place, and then come match day, fucking pull the rug under. Yo, just kidding, guys. We're going here. I'm gonna pick like 2 shit POIs. We're gonna be going Geyser and like Zoo. You know,
So what you're
we're
saying
gonna
is
take some 2.
So what you're
Then-
saying is the mind games are going to be next level now, from scrims to
Oh,
live
you
game day, match day.
Absolutely,
It's kinda
just
cool.
cause pandemonium.
Yeah, listen, it's good to get all of your takes. Looks like the 2 players, here on stream, Snipe and Design, both actually like it. Both historically on top teams in Apex. So it's good to hear your perspective. Jayhawk, I'd be curious to get your take, but I think if you're a fan of entertainment of Apex, if you're a general viewer, I think you're not loving this change. If you are a hardcore nerd, analytical mind who just loves all things competitive Apex, you are loving this because absolutely it's better for competitive integrity. Better team wins. It's better for coaches and their involvement in the scene. But what is lacking now is, truthfully, the first 5 to 7 minutes of a game will be like watching paint dry. You watch teams loot. There's nothing to talk about as a shoutcaster. And I'll tell you, even before this, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about in an early game unless there was a contest. So there is an element of that, plus all the drama and entertainment that went into claiming your POI and the scrims that went into it and how you're doing in scrims. All of that is gone. Do you think that takes away from the entertainment overall, Jayhawk? And what's your final stance as someone who is an enjoyer and appreciates the overall experience that is Apex? Do you think it's net positive?
I'm open to it because I do think that it'll be interesting to see teams have to make different macro and rotates, and we're not going to see the same teams swim the same spots every single circle, especially World's Edge, which so many people are getting tired of. But losing contests as a fan really sucks. It
really
think
sucks.
about so many legendary moments that have come from contests. We just talked about E8 versus 07, DSG versus Alliance, so many of the highlight moments that even when I'm making these LAN recap videos come from those fights. TSM having to deal with Red Rams and Wonton Dumpling in elimination bracket round 2. They're the reigning champions and they have to overcome that. And then they do, and it makes it so much more legendary. All those moments are so fun. And then there's also because of the new drop spot system, there's not all those really creative plays when we saw Northeption go and grief Furia at the Armory, where they turned it on and then jumped off the map and crafted them at Northpad, or Hardeki. Yeah, boost the car off. Aurora when Hardeki solo lands at the E807 contest. All these little interesting plays that happen. The surprise drop from Alliance onto DSG in the group stage. That stuff is all not going to exist anymore, which is some of my favorite stuff as a viewer, because when you're watching it and all of a sudden the casters pan to Alliance and they're at thermal station, everybody starts going crazy. What's going to happen? Who's going to win? The storylines, the rivalries. I don't know if that's going to be built as naturally anymore. I feel like it does put a lot of heavy lifting on the broadcast talent to fill time in the early games, to find different avenues to talk about. But the thing that I think is the most important is to build rivalries, because really the only rivalries that have been built outside of all the TSM ones, which are purely because of success, like TSM versus DZ, Hal versus Sweet, have been largely built on stuff like contesting. So I do think it does take a pretty major entertainment factor away from the game. And I'm still open-minded because I do think that there will be new ways of entertainment, but it does make me very sad that contesting is no more.
You summarized it perfectly, and you kind of took every word out of my mouth. So net, Jack, I want your take. I want your opinion. If you were the commissioner of the ALGS right now, and you wanted what was best for the overall esport, would you revert or keep?
I would probably keep. I'm sad about it, but I do think that you have to make changes to spice up the game. And I do think that there's been certain aspects of the game that have gotten very stale, and I think that this is going to address some of those. And also, in the biggest lobbies, for the most part, we don't always get a ton of contesting anyway. And some of them do still sort of exist, so who knows? Maybe we'll see a siphon contest or something. But yeah, I think as of right now, I would keep it.
Well said.
A couple
In
things
summary,
on that, actually,
on
real
this
quick.
stream at least. Yeah, go ahead, Snipe, please. Yeah.
I think, like, if you've watched scrims, quality of the games have gotten so much better.
Way better.
Like,
way better.
It just even practice has gotten just increasingly better because everyone's trying to play this new system. I do 100% agree with the entertainment factor being taken away, but I think that I also agree that you kind of stick with it and just look to make it better as you go.
Yep.
Maybe even allow for you to choose the contest. But you get to do the draft system. So if you get to pick it first, you get it. It might scare teams off from taking it, or maybe allow for max one contest per POI or something like.
Yeah, they should add an item, like a limited token. I'll buy all the thermal ones.
There's
I could
some
cash
things that
them
you
in.
can do. There's
I
ways
just
to make
should
this
have land
better.
thermal.
That's how I was going to summarize.
Yeah, get on that shit. I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
You gotta buy
Sellable.
the deeds to the actual
Yep. Apex
POI.
coins.
Sell the deeds. I'll buy them.
You accrue points based on. Well, actually, dude. Actually, you could accrue points based on placement leading up to it, and then those points are used to like draft.
Monopoly and Apex Legends have a baby, and this is the future. This is the future. Designful's going to start putting houses and red hotels on his properties. It's going to be great. I was going to say the same thing, Snipe. I think, look, it's good. Three for three people on this stream all saying overall they'd keep it as is. With that said, I don't think it has to be a revert or keep discussion. I think there's pros to both, and I think there's a happy medium where you can still have contests, which are so exciting, so much fun to watch, make early game better, and fans absolutely love. Even the players, in a lot of ways, like them, and give players a chance to choose to contest. And I'll get complete spitball. I haven't put any thought, a lot of detailed thought into this, but off the top of my head, teams 18 through 20th that got the short end of the stick and then choose to contest or to pick one of the shitty POIs. It's your choice. So you something along those lines that shakes things up and makes things interesting. I think there's tons of ideas to evolve this, and I hope by the time we get to split two playoffs on LAN, this does evolve. And I hope that ALGS and the EA team are open to feedback, which they always are. I have nothing but respect for the commissioner of the ALGS, Anakin, aka John Nelson. He's always been super community minded. With that said, he has a vision for what he wants to achieve, and Match Point was part of that vision. Everyone complained at first, and obviously here we are. I think this is a little bit different than that. This is such a a core change to the game. So I hope that they continue to take this feedback into effect. We did get word 2 people can pick the same location. It's just not allowed in the rules of the draft system. So thank you, Tempo, for clarifying that. You can't contest. One other thing I wanted to point out before we wrap up this topic, some awesome stats. Shout out to Chrono Creative who provided this. This is insane. He actually has, from all of the oversight scrims to date, he has statistics of each drop spot and which have been the most successful over time. And Skyhook West has emerged on top as the best World's Edge drop spot. Climatizer East right behind it. Lava Fissure, Overlook, and then Launch Site. So basically, over time, the teams that have dropped in those spots have been and trended to be the most successful in their overall placement. Those are the top 5 drop spots. So if you're watching and you want to maybe get some ranked games in, maybe those are the 5 spots you want to drop. But no, jokes aside, on Stormpoint, surprise, surprise, the Mill has been number 1 as drop spot since the draft system was created. And on Stormpoint, Zoo Station number 2, Pylon, no surprise there, number 3, Launchpad number 4, Echo HQ number 5, which is super interesting. And then the teams that have been the most successful in oversight scrims since the drop spots have been implemented, Disguised in first place. They have an asterisk though. Sorry, design. Don't get too excited because they've only played 3 play days because Enemy's been on vacation. So don't get your head too big. Furia's in second place. Dark Zero's in third place. Xset in fourth, and Space Station in fifth. Let's wrap up with Design. I want to get your take and thoughts on those stats. Is that in line with what you thought they'd be in terms of drop spots and teams?
Yeah, honestly, we've been freaking flying. We've been freaking owning everybody. I only played one of those three. I only played one of
I was
those
gonna
three.
say they were talking
So
about dropping you because you weren't even
Literally.
there, bro.
yeah, I slept in one day because I slept one of them because I had that like tournament, that Asia Festival tournament. Dude, it was 8 hours. 8 hours. So yeah, they had subs. They've been frying though. Timmy's been on Pathfinder and he's been trying to sell me on it. It's a pain in the ass.
You sold
He
them on
keeps
You play
Rafe.
doing it.
Rafe, dude. You play Rafe.
Oh,
And
okay. But the difference is Pathfinder is the best legend when you have all that playable space, which is not going to be a thing in ALGS, man. We're gonna do it probably. We're probably gonna be doing it, but he's gonna see. He's gonna get
They'll
charge
do it.
rifled by Trev stacks across the map behind a rampart wall. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
any other thoughts on those? Snipe, any thoughts on your end on those drop spots that succeeded? Let's wrap
No,
up
that
this conversation.
sounds pretty fair. I think with the draft system, people are going to prio World's Edge maps over Stormpoint. There's just less POIs that are worth to take, so expect those to go first. But no, I mean, I think everyone's pretty accepting of those being the hot drops for first picks.
Jayhawk, you got any J Nuggets? Ones we
I
love?
just want to know from Snipe and Design on that comment of priming World's Edge. Would you guys rather, like in that scenario, would you much rather land at like the Trident, Cliffside, those kind of spots over like a dome or a geyser?
Nice nuggets, Jay. Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
So my first prio is World's Edge. You could pretty much do good from anywhere because it's a flat map. But at least how my thought of it for the draft system is I want north side of the map on Stormpoint. I don't want to fight uphill. I don't want a constant fight uphill because that is like the most out of both maps. That is like the worst scenario to be. Is you're landing bottom and it ends up pulling all the way up to
That
fucking
storm
lightning
catcher
rod.
zone every time. That
Storm catcher.
lightning zone. Yeah.
My main prio is just north side of the map on Stormpoint, and then whatever the fuck else. Like anything else, like we can make do. So I would definitely rather like a cliffside for sure, like what you were asking, than like a dome.
Okay. Snipe, are you the same
I'm
way?
curious.
Or,
I mean, it just depends on where you're at in the draft. To be fair,
Right.
like, I mean, if you're first pick, I think is just the worst pick. Like first pick
Well,
and then 40th pick is just like
that's what I'm kind of
not
wondering. Like, if
ideal.
you had first, are you priming World's Edge over Stormpoint because of the lack of POIs? Because you know you're going to get garbage on World's Edge if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to end up in really any of those really bad spots. Like, I'm probably prioing World's Edge early on.
If you're Chads, you just go dome and just ape one of the teams
Dome's
around you.
not that
Stacks your
bad,
launch.
but
Just
playing
go
from
fight
stacks
launcher
like
stacks.
kind of sucked because you're in between all these POIs now, and people are going to take dome over anything else. So you're almost always going to have a dome team, and then you're going to have someone take mod. So you're stuck in between that, and then you're in between launch site, siphon, and geyser. Like you're
That, or you could always go one of the siphons or one of the climatizers if you're actually like that, for sure.
Which
Yeah.
07 and Alliance have been doing. They've been saying if you land Siphon, we will land on the other side and chow you every time.
just look how congested that bottom right of the map is on World's Edge. There's 8 POIs in just that bottom right corner.
That's insane.
Like, I don't know. It's just if that gets clogged up, it's bad. So I'm probably taking something on World's Edge still over Stormpoint. I think because what there's like 25 on Stormpoint, like 25 POIs or something.
Somewhere
25.
around there.
Nailed it. Nice. Yeah, 25.
Yeah, I think.
Right.
And I'm taking Trident or Cliffside. I think those are decent POIs to start from the north. And I think you're almost guaranteed to get one of those.
I'm taking those over like Coastal Camp.
For sure. Coming in from Coastal
Devastated
or
Coast.
Devastated is just, it's horrible. Barrow South, like that just seems terrible as well. I mean, at least you get a car, maybe. But
I do hope
it's
we
not
see some
great.
overall better balance changes from the level designers. I have a feeling ALGS wouldn't make this change in a vacuum without communicating with Respawn and the game designers. So, hopefully by the time Pro League splits and evens out, there's maybe some changes to the draft system and or some balance overall. But with that said, let's put a cork in that discussion. Good to get your guys' takes. Thank you for sharing perspective. And community, of course, we want to hear your thoughts real quick in chat. Quick poll. 1 for you'd revert it right now. I miss contests. 2 for keep it. I like the change. Let us know your thoughts in the chat as well and share any explanation as to why. With that said, let's move on to the topic that y'all have been waiting for. The hottest, spiciest topic in Apex Legends right now is Rostermania, the crazy domino effect that has resulted from Imperial Hal making the decision to leave his longtime team in TSM and join up with the God Squad in Dark Zero. Super team indeed. Let's go ahead and start it right
team.
away with a super. You call it super team? Is that what you call it, Hassan?
That's
Cooper
a Cooper team.
Cooper team
Yep.
with a P, not an S. This is the change. Shot to Chrono, sick graphics, photoshopping some heads. Very well done. Hal joins Dark Zero. We all know about this, but we have to talk about it. They haven't necessarily been the super team you'd expect them to be, dominating every single scrim. They've faced some adversity. Do you think that is a call for caution, or just the natural growing pains of joining a new team, and especially with Hal figuring things out with Zero? Snap, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just the ceiling for this team is through the roof in terms of what it is. The expectations are also directly paralleled to those, what everyone's expecting. I think Sykes fit his role very well on that team, and they broke records at LAN. They broke records in Pro League. They had over 100 points, separating them between the second best team during group stages. So, like, you're transitioning Sykes and Hal, which I think is like relatively paralleled in terms of skill. Hal just brings a lot of extra, every accomplishment that he's had, and I don't think I'm expecting much different from that Dark Zero team than what I was already expecting them to do with Sykes, to be completely honest. So I think the expectations are higher than anything else, and I think there's definitely going to be some growing pains. And I was enjoying, I think, the first rage, like real rage, I heard out of them in scrims the other day. So the content is going to be there, the spiciness is going to be there, and it's exciting as a fan to watch this and kind of just watch where every individual ends up going. Both Sykes with LG, and then Evan and Jordan, and just to kind of see all the routes that these players take.
Super interesting take. So Snip3down says he doesn't think their ceiling with Hal is much higher or higher at all than it was with Sykes. I want to confirm that was your take there, Snipe.
I think it's higher than it was with Sykes to an extent, but I also think the floor might be even a little lower just because of how personalities might mix. I think Sykes just kind of accepted everything, and we've never seen Hal be yelled at before. We've never seen, and Zero's not afraid to take that role, and kind of put him in his place, and he's going to argue, and Hal's going to argue back, and so we're very curious to see how that's going to come down, and that's where the content's going to come in. And just for me, like, I mean, that's going to be fun for me to watch. I think that's going to be fun for all the fans to watch. But yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest thing that people look out for, to maybe break some cohesion in the roster, or it could make them that much better and they could win everything. But I think winning everything in a BR is already tough. So I think if anything, it made the competition maybe a little better all around, because you're taking two of the best teams that are the two teams that were only won events before this, and you're putting them together to make one team. Where the individual player difference, I don't think is that crazy, but you're spreading out the talent around to every other team.
Yeah, and I want to get Jayhawk and Designful Stakes for sure. But speaking of Sykes, yeah, we actually have a graphic of really an awesome tweet. I gained a lot of respect for him for this, giving his flowers to Hal and even to Zero and Jen Burton. Thanks for the opportunity to team with y'all. Did a lot of really cool stuff. Got close to winning second place. They looked great. Hal's literally the only player in the game that I understand getting replaced for, and I hold no anger towards them whatsoever. Wishing them the best. So an awesome tweet for Sykes. I got a lot of respect for Sykes. Jayhawk, you actually tweeted minus one event that we will forever leave nameless. Some of Sykes' accolades and his accomplishments, which are arguably amongst the best or top five of any player on LAN. Do you agree with Snipe? Do you think that with Sykes, their ceiling wasn't necessarily much lower than it is with Hal? And what's your overall take on this team?
I 100% agree. I mean, the expectations for that DZ team was they were going to win LAN. Like, they were placed first in Pro League. They were dominant throughout scrims all the time leading up to it. They had the record-setting group stage. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, they literally looked miles above every single team. In winner's bracket, they placed fourth. I mean, they didn't have the greatest of sets, but still, like, a solid performance. And then in finals, they honestly had the first chance to win. Like, that game 7, they were right there. And they very well could have came away lifting the trophy. So adding Hal, like, obviously I do think he's probably the better player, but in terms of the actual expectations, it was already that they were going to win. It was already that they were supposed to be the best team in the world. All I think it's done is it's made it that much more unacceptable for the fans and for themselves, and that regard, if they lose. Like, winning is what they should be doing. If they lose, they're going to get clowned on a lot more because they're the super team. It's what happened, with LeBron and the Heat when they lost to the Mavericks. Everybody thought it was hilarious that the super team went out and lost. And if that happens to this team, yeah, I think in terms of expectations and the ceiling, I think it's pretty similar because Sykes is cold. Like, he's so good.
Absolutely.
Design, you'll get the final word on this specific topic, and we'll move on with a pointed question towards you. Is Hal still the CEO if he's now taking orders from somebody else?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe that means like Zero's a CEO. I don't know. But realistically though, I mean, on paper, Hal is like the best player, and he makes really good decisions. But Zero's style of IGLing is kind of, he'll put the team in some tough positions. Like he'll be like, "Hey, we're gonna play here, and we need to win this fucking fight. We need to kill this team." And like, it's just him putting. It's the same way I do it. Like, you have to shoot your way out of an uncomfortable position, and I think Dark Zero was better with like a Zainu or a Sykes, where they were capable of making their own decisions, but for the most part they were like like listening to Zero. I think Hal will make his own decisions, but sometimes it'll be like completely like not according to like the team or what Zero had in mind. And I think the younger moldable fraggers is definitely better for Zero, but I mean we'll just see how it plays out. I don't know.
I think there was
Nicholas.
a big equity shift within the Apex scene and maybe a hostile takeover of the CEO position with this team coming together just due to the fact that Zero's the IGL of that roster. And like I have so much love for Hal, and I've known him for a long time, and I think that this is in the end going to be a very good thing for him in his moral. He has he's talked about other IGLs that he'd be comfortable letting him, and the list was sweet. That was basically it at the beginning of the game. And to give up his IGL, because I know it stressed him out a ton. He talked about just the pressures of being an IGL, and not that ever got to him. He's won multiple events, but having two teammates that put in, Cal has had, I am the grind. Like he puts in hours and hours and hours. And now he has two teammates that put in just as many hours, if not more than him, into their own mechanical training. Zero and Jen Burton have proven that they're two of the best, if not the best, like players in the game, especially the best duo in the game, in my opinion. And they have been for a while. And being paired with teammates that are willing to put in the same work as you without you having to give the commands and you're listening to someone you respect, I think that that's where their potential like truly lies. And maybe we could see even a better form of Hal as a player than we've seen in the past without him having to think that much. So there's a huge upside to this, but then there's also the when it goes wrong, things are always great when things are great. And you're really put to the test when things aren't. So it'll be curious when you have so many explosive personalities with him and Zero, if there ever is times where it comes to are we doubting or whatnot.
I've already seen spots where like Zero goes down, and if you were with like Sykes, he would have been like, fucking res me right now, right now. And like it's been like he goes down and he's like, hey, can you res me? Jen or Hal one of you guys can one of you guys come over here and res me? It's like we'll have to see how the dynamic plays out. They can iron that out before Pro League and everything, but I mean they don't have that much time. They don't have much time before Pro League, and then it's gonna all snowball. So if they could figure it out before Pro League, they could snowball it into World Cup and then the next playoffs. But if they can't, it could be a fucking train that gets derailed. So we'll have to see.
And the summary there is truly all eyes on Hal. I think, again, respect to him for making the decision because he definitely put a lot of thought. I mean, weeks and weeks went into this decision. As y'all know, this is one of the worst kept secrets among the pro community. But he put a lot of thought into it, and he knew what he was signing up for and the amount of pressure he is adding to himself. And the fact that he walked towards that pressure and embraced that pressure says a lot about him. And all eyes are going to be on him. If his team does not do well, it's clearly going to be pointed back to him because they did do well. They got second place. They were the most dominant team at that event with Sykes. It's going to be an interesting story to watch unfold for sure. And I got to agree with you. I think there's a lot of opportunity for them to continue to improve. Hal was supposed to come to Chicago this weekend with Snipe and people. We were going to have a Memorial Day weekend in Chicago. He's like, sorry, boys, can't do it. Got to scrim. Got to stay locked in for Pro League. So that's how you know he's taking this serious. It's his birthday coming up. You're going to celebrate with some good friends, and he declined. So he's locked in. We'll see how things turn out. But let's shift on now. As a result of that decision, we call it the Imperial Hal domino effect. We actually have a cheeky graphic for y'all. Kudos to Chrono Creative for putting this one together. The domino effect that followed Hal's decision. We're going to walk through each of them. Again, we're running a little short on time, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on each and every single graphic. We'll go fairly quick here. But first, it was Hal. Then it was Sykes, of course, going to LG. Then it was Slayer being replaced off LG. And then you see that handsome man Designful who's thrown in the mix. Wait, he's still undisguised. Was he involved? Oh, yes, he was. He got dropped by TSM. No, I'm just kidding.
That guy's kind of hot.
Design scrims with TSM, considers joining the fray and shaking things up, opted not to, and you'll see the follow on from there, including folks like Shuby, dropped, knocked, and the like. Let's walk through each of them. First things first, LG, they pick up Sykes, they drop Slayers, Hey, Jayhawk, I'm gonna get one take from each of you just to save time. Jayhawk, I want you to take this one. Think it's a net increase for this team picking up Sykes over Slayers, or a net decrease, and why?
I think it's great. Sykes is one of the best controller players in the world. The thing I'm really excited about is I love Sykes comms, and I think that one of the big things that a lot of people have criticized Sweet for is that obviously he's a very micro heavy IGL. I don't think he has to micro Sykes. Sykes has played with IGLs who don't want to micro you. Like Zero can, Knock can, but I've talked to Nocturnal. He does not want to play with people that he has to do that for. So Sykes coming into Pro League, that was his entrance. I don't want to micro you. You got to figure it out. He's played Fragger. He's played Anchor. So he can play multiple roles. I think this is a fantastic pickup and should elevate LG to a true contender on LAN.
Briefly said, great summary. Excited to see how this roster develops. It's gonna be a fun one. Keep an eye out. By the way, shout out to Slayer, the most hilarious individual on Apex Twitter. I'm gonna keep saying it so everyone knows it. Follow Slayer Season on Twitter.
Hot, sexy
but
spray tans.
I was about to say.
Yeah, the
Sweet
sweet
got
spray tan
mad.
was nuts.
Those are my
It's
three
gotta be
words for that.
Right the day after the spray tan, or right after he got out. Like, there's no shot. Or he just looks darker because he's next to Funk, who looks super pale in that photo too.
He's looking good. Sweet's looking good with the spray tan. Maybe it's natural. Who knows? Let's move on to the next topic. And we mentioned one person per graphic. You already know who we have to go to this one. The next graphic is Team Solo Mid, TSM. Zap reportedly joining this team. By reportedly, we mean they're quote unquote trialing, but things are going pretty well. So you think it's going to be done and locked here in the near term. And Talmadge as the coach of this team, of course, as well. Design. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Not the political answer. Not that you're scared to hurt your friend's feelings answer. Why didn't you continue trialing with this team?
So, like my whole story has always been like, proving people wrong, blah, whatever, blah, 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 fucking proving myself. And I thought that would be like a good step, that'd be kind of cool to do because I do love Jordan. I do love Evan, and we've talked about it in the past. Like, I wanted Evan right when he swapped over. Jordan, the couple times of like rough times of TSM when they there was like rumors of them splitting up. I've always talked to him. And so we were like, you know what? We got to try it. Like I told Enemy and Timmy, like when we were talking about like shit we would leave for, and that was the only scenario. It was if Hal were to step down, and I would go take that spot on TSM and play with Evan and Jordan.
Weeks, months in advance, so you were very upfront.
I thought from the very beginning we teamed because like they talked about different scenarios as well. They gave me a bunch of different scenarios, and I told them that was the only one ever. And so I did it with them. It actually went pretty like the results didn't show that well, but it was like the way that I play the game. It's like we're taking one fight and we're either winning the game or losing the game. And after like one day, like the first day it was kind of ass, and the second day, one day of like practice TDMing and shit, like it felt really good, and we could have easily won that day of scrims. And it all came down to like roles and stuff though, because I don't really play like the same aggressive role as Hal. It's kind of like I do need someone else that's going to be even more aggressive than me. And Evan didn't really like he could have went into that role, but he doesn't really play that role right now. Whereas like Timmy and Enemy do, and I've already built up so much synergy with them that I saw we all saw the potential. Me, Jordan, like Evan, we saw the potential, and we were going to do it. And like we were all on board to do it, but like realistically, timeline wise, like with stuff coming up for them, and with how much I've already put, like that video came out and like really made me like appreciate like everything I've done with like Timmy and Enemy, and like being one fight away twice now. Well, like somebody came in my chat and said that like, yo, dude, you've been two Apex fights away from $1 million, and I'm like, thanks, bro.
Yeah.
It's felt so good to like build it with them that like I thought it would like look like at least I was being a little selfish, and like because sometimes you have to do that in esports, and like it would have been so sick if I went over there and I won with them. But at the same time, no matter how sick it would have been if I would join Enemy or not Enemy, Evan and Jordan and won with them, it'll be just as fucking sick with what me and Enemy and Timmy have built. And I fucking love those boys to death. We have so much fucking synergy and chemistry, and like we've butt heads so many times. Like there's been times where me and Timmy literally are about to fist fight, and like every time we like just yell at each other, say some crazy shit, and then we go scrim and fucking dub. And they've definitely grown on me, and I've grown on them, and they've taught me a lot and helped me a lot as a player. And yeah, it would be just as cool to win with them as if I joined TSM and did it with them. That
Question,
ended up being like.
I was saying the exact same thing. I was saying that about you. I was like, I think you're better off. Like, obviously, TSM it's lucrative, but I think you have something really good with your current squad, and that's a synergy that you don't build overnight. Like you guys obviously had to struggle and sweat and not do well and build that up. I mean, you guys had a rough start to last event, and you guys came out and worked your way all the way back up and killed it
Yeah.
in the end, and we're right in that same position where the previous land. So that's
Last thought.
It's like
and then
on
also one
paper,
person-
they look
I'm sorry.
crazy. I was just gonna say it's like every team is gonna go through those struggles, and like you're always gonna like think about like you know, different opportunities and shit and like that, and like you will never know what you had until you like don't have it anymore. And like I didn't want this to be like one of those scenarios, you know, because I do know I have a really good thing, the boys.
yeah, you got Pathfinder.
Yeah,
And-
yeah,
and
we're gonna
Wraith
have to
on
figure that
team,
one
you guys
out.
should
We're
do
gonna have
Don't
to
do
figure
it.
that one out.
Don't do it.
Yeah, it'll be great. Design final word on this. You know, it's been. I want to get your take on your situation, but making it less about you transitioning to Zap and the arc of really Verholst emerging as kind of the IGL of this team. Do you think Verholst has what it takes to IGL, and do you think Zap is the right pickup for them?
I think Evan and Jordan have played under Hal for so long, and they understand the game on such a level, and like they both have the ability. Like I don't think one of them should IGL. I think they should always bounce it back and forth. Like
Oh, IGL.
just fill that. Like they should have it like kind of how like me and Timmy have it, where like they decide one person has last say, but with how much information both of them have, they can just bounce it back and forth. And I told them that their best case scenario would be to pick up like a really good Bloodhound player to fill Hal's shoes or some fragger role where they both guide that person. And like I thought Zap would Zap or Lux is who I recommended to them when I was when I finished trialing with them. So it's nice to see that they not only got Zap, but they got a coach now too, which they were also looking for.
I think Talmadge fits their play style well. It's gonna be exciting to watch that team develop and their continued trajectory. Can they still be a top relevant team, top 3 team without Hal? We'll find out. In the transition of them moving to co-IGL roles will be interesting as well. Transitioning now, speaking of Talmadge and Zap leaving E8, it's been a wild journey. Snipe, you've been a part of this journey with E8. Noct was playing with E8 for quite some time, and then Zap, of course, left and joined TSM. Let's talk through E8 and their trajectory. And now, of course, where things ended up, picking up Luxford and picking up Slayers as well.
Yeah, I mean, this whole situation is pretty confusing. It just seemed like, you know, I think there was some talks of orgs playing together with Dropped and Noct, and then Noct got the offer with the org to Zach's team, and so that kind of pulled. Like Noct is obviously going to be enticed by that with the EWC spot. Shubi got basically dropped. That became a huge public thing, and then it was just kind of a rotation of EWC roster locks, which is where I got pulled into the team with Shubi and Dropped, because Dropped was then without a team after Noct left, and then Shubi got dropped, so it was them, and it was just kind of pairing of I guess convenience in a sense. And then after the whole situation, Noct needed a team again, and you know, I talked with Shubi and Dropped, and it was a super cool conversation. I completely understood. Like, there was not much time from roster locks to scrims to everything where we could get enough cohesion as a roster. And playing Dropped and Noct playing together just made sense, as they had that history. Shubi could fill a certain role, and that's where that team ended up together. And I think they're going to be a great team. That basically X Optic roster with Shubi in place of Skittle. And, you know, I think we have a lot of interesting teams that come out of this. Zach is now with Slayer and Luxford. I think that's also a very strong roster. And it's just, you know, I think it kind of sucks. I wish that original E8 roster could have just stuck around, because I think they were a very good team. And I think it could have been, you know, mended. They could have found an org, could have found a home. And I think that they had something going. It just seems like, I don't really know what went down
Did
there.
you
There's
really
a lot of behind
expect
the
that
scenes
though?
stuff.
Like,
Dude, I thought
Zach
they
has
were
a
good enough to stick
history.
together.
Zach has a history of every time he has something good, he breaks it. Remember Noct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I thought that was hilarious that he
He's
went
always
back and
looking
went
for an
back to
upgrade.
Noct. I was
That's
like,
super
bro, imagine this is like making up for the whole situation in the first place of dropping Noct and being like, yo, we got something here. I know you're looking for a team. I got you back. I told you I would, and then it just implodes again. I don't know. It's just, it was unnecessary. Hopefully every team's good, but it sucks rebuilding when you already had something. Come for me. I know.
Yeah, it's a crazy whirlwind. Shout out to Clara at work for the detective work and the most amazing paint diagram that laid this all out brilliantly and super concisely for all of us for what his journey has been. Let's transition now over to the next team. And this one, of course, is going to be a fun discussion. It's Space Station Gaming. The pickup of Koifel. Frex goes to Oxygen. It's replaced by Koifel, and now we have a little young goon squad, god squad of their own with Phony, Zainu, and Koifel. Before we jump in and get Snipes' take on some of this and talk through some of the madness of the last couple of days, Jayhawk, want to get your take on this roster. What do you think their ceiling is?
Winning LAN. Koifel's insane. Like, you get the opportunity to pick up Koifel. Frex is an amazing player. Love Frex, but Koifel's nuts. Zainu, he's won a LAN before. One of the best controller players in the world. I actually think he's kind of somewhat become a little underrated. Like, people don't realize how good he still is on this SSG roster. And then you got Phony, a top IGL. So, yeah, I think this team is certainly capable of winning LAN.
I never fully understood the, slightly different topic, the Zainu getting dropped from Dark Zero and picked up for Sykes. I never fully understood that. Did you have? I agree with you. I think that decision, he became underrated somehow. Do you have any thoughts on that, Joe?
The public statement was that they mutually agreed to part ways. I have no clue as to why. I thought, obviously, it was a great team. Maybe it could have been because at Champs they missed finals. But I have literally no clue why.
I still don't think that was Zainu's fault.
No, it definitely was. I just don't know if that was why. I have no clue.
I think the nail in the coffin is what caused it to break was them not qualing, but I don't think it was Zainu's fault, unfortunately. And I know a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, but I guess they just cut it off. I don't know, because Zainu always was like complaining with like being yelled at. Zainu's mental. Definitely can't take the he doesn't like getting yelled at by like feeling like that Slayer or like that Sykes role that he had on that team, or like the Slayer role on LG, and that's kind of what like Zainu was kind of falling into a little bit on that Dark Zero squad before Sykes was there.
That was a good clarification to both of you, Design and Jayhawk, because definitely not dropped, mutually parting ways. There's some additional thoughts that it wasn't Zainu's fault. There's way more than meets the eye in that topic of conversation. But obviously, both landed very, very well. They picked up Sykes, and they've done very well since. Zainu joins his SSG roster. They've shown moments of brilliance. Now with Koifel, the sky is absolutely the limit. I agree that is their ceiling. You summarized it really well.
Except when there's a bank smoke, they're gonna get folded. Fucking controller players. Somebody send Fnatic on their ass. Or reject.
Last thing on that note, I think the community would come at me with pitchforks if I didn't have a chance to give Snap3down a moment to speak to some of the crazy last 48 hours of controversy with what was the former FaZe Clan roster and the situation of making that phone call to Phony, considering and throwing out an option of picking up Koifel, all of that to come back and spite you with what was kind of the best team you've had since TSM and Apex. Any final thoughts you have on that situation, Snap?
I've said this before. I've talked about this enough on stream and talked about this whole situation. I'm not gonna use this to I've talked a lot as a community member of not like dogpiling onto people, and I don't want that to happen with anyone in my community or like at all for someone that obviously made an emotionally charged tweet because of a lot of the feedback that he's getting. And I think that this is just a product of the situation, and I think that there's a lot of like different accountabilities that could be taken on this, and I'm always open to having that conversation, to talking about with him or if he wants to talk to me like on stream, whatever it is, to get his side of the story, so it's not just me, which I don't think it has been. I've just been detailed in my side of the story, so I don't want to spark anything, but all I'm saying is at the end of the day,
he'll take his
our best placements as competitors have been together, and regardless of the situation with them dropping Frex, me getting dropped due to bringing something up that was a private conversation that I didn't think was going to get back to him. I didn't know that it did get back to him. His best placements are with me, and I'm not saying that I was the reason. We obviously just had something good as a unit. A team is a product of the whole team, and even if they do better than we did with Koifel, hey, I'm saying I threw out that idea first, so I can be the winner no matter what. If you do better without me, you're picking up the player I said. And if you don't, then I guess that's another dub. But I think that's going to be a great team no matter what. They're obviously one of the top hitters, and people are calling them a super team, a god squad. And I think that it would be disappointing if they don't place at least what we did, if not better, on a consistent basis for sure, especially in Pro League.
Speaking of Frex, it's a good segue. It's awesome to see, look, despite all the craziness of what went down, everyone's kind of landed in a healthy way. Frex joins his Oxygen roster. He was trialing for a while based on their performance in EWC. I think might be well cemented. They're looking pretty solid. Jayhawk, quick thought on this team, this Oxygen roster with Frex on it.
I love the addition because I've got to talk to Auction a lot, and I've always kind of heard their consistent problem was roles and fits on certain characters, and I feel like this easily defines it because I once talked to Vane and he said the solution to all their problems was always to put Aiden on Horizon, and now they can do that. Aiden can be the fragger, they can run free, Frex can be the anchor, and I'm excited to see what this Auction roster can do because you add Frex, very experienced. I think he can help support Vane when it comes to some of that co-IGLing that Reeds did. So yeah, I think this is a really good pickup for Oxygen.
I like it. I'm excited to see where Reeds lands as well, because I think you're right. Maybe it wasn't the right fit for the play style of the team, but I think Reeds is still a nasty player. Excited to see where he ends up falling, and that obviously shakes things up quite a bit as well. And with that said, look, obviously this is North American time zone and mostly North American audience, but we had to give some recognition to EMEA and some coverage for EMEA as well. So let's cover Europe, Middle East, and Africa as well as a region. First things first, Salute. Big roster change that came through, and I'll run through these pretty quickly just to keep up on time. Some of y'all may have heard, may have not. Nags leaves this team, and now as a sub, as a pickup coming through, Zane returns to this team after taking a split break, and this is the new Salute roster of Nasky, Amphi, and Zane as a result of Nags. Speaking of Nags, where did he go? Why did he leave? Who in the world would he leave Salute for? Well, kind of a remarkable underdog story team that came in, grinded through Challenger Circuit. A lot of people saying Arctic and Cinetic are next up on this team. That's first two you see on your screen. And of course, Nags joining this team, bringing all types of experience. He's been competing for a long time. It's really going to be a fun thing to watch. Made in Heaven, fourth place in Pro League last split. Didn't have a great land finish. I think they placed in the 30s. But now picking up Nags, I think it's going to be a really, really good fit. I know there was a little bit of controversy around Taxington getting replaced from this team. I think he said he was blindsided on Twitter, but nonetheless, you got to keep an eye out on this Made in Heaven squad. That's the EMEA kind of roundup of quick roster changes as well. Want to also kind of wrap up with some additional teams that I think we'd certainly be remiss to not talk about. I tweeted about it today. If you have not heard the news, Native Gaming signs a brand new roster, and it's a fun one. The return of RKN after a brief hiatus. I think the word retirement was thrown around a little bit. He got himself a 9-to-5 and said, well, I kind of miss playing Apex on the side. He joins back with Rambo after a great run that they had and their come up on Torrent. And of course, playing together on Sentinels before some of the drama that unfolded with Rambo briefly retiring and then joining Dark Zero as a sub. That's going to be a really fun team to watch. They pick up McLovin as well. So I want to give someone a chance to give a thought on that Native squad, either Jayhawk or Design. Now we'll come to you because we got a thought from Jayhawk last. Your thought on that Native team and pick up McLovin. Do you think they got what it takes?
I think McLovin is definitely an underrated player. He's pretty good, and I think Rambo and Arcan synergy is probably the best out of like the teammates that they've had. They've been through a lot of rosters, and they ended up doing the best together. So I think they can make it work, and we'll have to see how it plays out. But I think yeah, those two players do have a really good synergy, and we'll have to see if Cole can if he still's got the Twitter fingers, the mechanics. So we'll see. Maybe he'll just bust out the crypto. Who knows?
He's a dad now. He might be taking the backseat to the
Right?
throne, huh?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good summary. For those that don't know, McLovin grinded through Challenger Circuit, then played in Pro League for a few splits, and was on BTC, was on Noxious, I believe, with the Vexies at some time. Really, really big fan of this new Native squad. I love the pickup. I gave some flowers and respect to the Native CEO and their GM today for some of the pickups. Really, really solid pickups across the board. I actually just got word Deranged Natives in chat. Shout out to the CEO of this team, Deranged Native. Excited to see what that team can do. The last team we want to wrap up with in Rostermania. Last team, I said, and we're going to wrap up with a person. You might know who that is XXet or XSet. How you like to say it. I'm going to be honest. I'll start with this one. I was a bit skeptical of this team. Look, Reptar hasn't competed at a top level in a long time. He's been sharing for a while. He thinks he still can. For those that don't know, he was on Complexity years ago. I mean, years plural, when they dominated in the early Bloodhound meta. Him making a return after being a content creator, saying, I want to get back to competing, switching to controller. I wasn't sure if that was the right pickup for this team. They could have had their pick of the litter, in my opinion, as a former Pro League split number one team, dominant team, top 5 finish at Atlanta in the past. So, Jack, I want to get your take. They dominate and look really, really solid. I wouldn't say dominate. They look really, really good. First place overall in the EWC qualifier, and they're going to be going to Saudi Arabia. I think this team has what it takes with Reptar. I think that's the right pickup, to be honest.
I do. I mean, I'm also biased because I've been historically a huge believer in this XSET roster. Like, yes, they missed lane with Koiful, and I know in terms of like expectations, that was crazy disappointing. But I do think that Nocturnal and Fun, I posted about Sykes on Twitter. I mentioned the 9 players that have placed top 5 on LAN 3 times. Those are 2 of them right there. And getting to talk to Hodzik at LAN too, because he's going to stay with the team as a coach. I think one of the things they were really looking for in a pickup was somebody who's very experienced, and there doesn't have to be any teaching of the game. There doesn't have to be any micro, because like I talked about earlier, Nocturnal doesn't really like to micro. I think he would self-admit he's also not really the greatest at it. So getting someone that can just kind of hold their own, and they're also really good friends. So they already have established chemistry. So although it doesn't look like the sexiest pickup on paper, they got the sexiest pickup on paper last with Koiful, and they weren't able to make it work. So maybe you just got to change it up and go a different direction. And at least so far, it has.
Nailed it. Any other takes? Any other thoughts on that roster?
I mean, I agree with the vibes completely. I think Nocturnal is going to work best with the people that he's the most comfortable with. I think we've seen that before, and if I think he's admitted to it. Like, there's a lot of emotionally charged times that he's been affected, and I think if he has a team with people that he cares about, I think him and Reptar might even be living together or did live together at one point. They're just good friends, and they can have a good time with scrims, not as much pressure leading up to it, and hopefully that can carry over because they did very well in the split, and they've been scrimming well together as well.
I think the one word you mentioned that's spot on is vibes. I think Nocturnal performs at his best when he's playing with his friends, when he's having fun. And I think that was the difference, maybe what wasn't there with Koiful, perhaps. And I think it's certainly going to be there with one of his close friends in Reptar. So I'm excited. Again, I have to eat my words. I think I never even said any words. These are just thoughts. I have to eat my thoughts. I wasn't sure what the Reptar pickup would look like. Scrims were looking kind of hit or miss at times, and they performed. They showed up, and they showed what they're capable of. I'm excited to see what they can do in Pro League now against 18 or 8 or 9 other top pro teams in North America that didn't play in those qualifiers for EWC. Only time will tell next week. We'll be talking pro league predictions here in a little bit. When we wrap up this Rostermania conversation, one person I thought maybe would join or maybe it could be a good fit for that XSET roster was right next to me on this screen. Snip3down. Want to hear your thoughts on your future? What's your status? What's your situation going into Split 1 Pro League and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I reached out to that XSET roster and talked to them, and they told me that their main thing going into EWC Quals was just vibes because there's not enough time to really practice and do the nitty gritty. And that decision worked out for them. I think that was obviously the right decision. For me, I've made I've thrown together teams last minute for some pro league splits before, and didn't really have great results. And I always kind of prided myself in my mentality on like I'm gonna compete for the right reasons to win and know that I can win and put in the work and all that. And if I'm not doing that, I'm not here to just collect a salary or a check or anything. I can spend my time doing something else. And as of right now, I have no plans to continue into this next pro league. I mean, I do have some options that are viable, but I'm not 100%. If I'm not 100% mentally at it, then I don't think it's fair for me or my teammates to do that. I'm really going to take time to focus on things like this after hours and content and some other personal ventures that I'm really excited to take. It's what I went to college for, marketing, entrepreneurship. And I think that I have a support group and a lot of people, and it's hard to do both with 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm not quitting. Like, I'm not retiring. I think if something opens and it's down the road and I'm going to be playing and keeping up my skills and all that, then that's great. But I'm not just going to throw an org at someone and be like, yo, let's just run it back together. Like, screw it. I'm not here to do that. But at the same time, FaZe needs to field a roster, and I've been close with them. They've done wonders by me, and I promised I will absolutely do whatever I can to field them as good of a roster as I possibly can. So, if I'm not on it, I want to build something great and help support it. So, regardless of where I end up, that's what you got.
One of the greatest to ever do it in esports history, hands down in the esports Hall of Fame with your career across multiple titles, Halo, multi champion, X Games gold medalist, X Games silver medalist in Apex, but not using the word retire, which is good to hear. So it sounds like the future is still unknown. Appreciate the overview of where things are at. With that in mind, one last kind of point in this topic, we didn't include this team's name because they weren't part of Rostermania. They stayed loyal to each other. It was the Tripods. You talked about helping FaZe field the best possible roster. Do you think FaZe to Tripods is a viable thing? A lot of people are talking about it on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be great. FaZe is already represented at EWC with the Counter-Strike team, and I think even another team. And I think FaZe would be absolutely interested in that roster. They've worked with them before, And if I'm not gonna field a team, they're backing me 100% and whatever I want to do. And they've, like I said, that they've been so loyal to me. And I have nothing but respect for FaZe and will defend them when anyone talks poorly about it based on my own experience. So I want to do right by them, and I think if they could field a roster for that's 1 in Pro League and 2 at the EWC, then that's a win-win. And I would love to see them back representing tripods.
Damn. You heard it from Snipe himself, an endorsement from Snipe, currently signed by and working with FaZe, longtime FaZe member for FaZe and tripods. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but certainly they've been performing. They qualified for EWC. And speaking of qualifying for EWC, let's transition topics here to the Esports World Cup qualifiers that just took place yesterday. And the teams that have qualified through, representing North America at least, there are going to be a total of 40 teams on display. We actually have a graphic to show you the teams that are going to be representing NA in that list. And you'll see the qualified teams and the 2 teams at the bottom right that qualified through versus the teams that were invited. We got Dark Zero, Moist Esports, TSM, Liquid Alienware representing Mexico, Disguised, Designful, and the boys will be there. Elevate will be there. Space Station, Luminosity, and in a grueling qualifier, a highly entertaining final 6-game series yesterday. Despite a rocky start to the tournament, Xset and Tripods came on top in a nail biter. That was a fun one to watch. Let's break down what we saw in the qualifier first, and then we'll talk about the format going in to the final competition. First things first, I mentioned rocky start. Let's take a look at this tweet from RKN that highlighted some of the issues early on. Snipe, you played in this tournament. Your thoughts on some of these challenges that RKN highlighted here?
Yeah, it could have been managed a lot better, like having to start it and then restart it, and then game 1 was already like halfway through. I mean, it sucked. My team, like, we very much so underperformed, but we were in a really good spot that game 1 to get some points and do some things. So for that to be axed out sucks. I don't know. I just hope that by the time that it comes, and I think that when you're running events like this, you should run through people like Tempo, like Minus Tempo, who has run countless scrims, countless lobbies, and always having him as like either sign him to freaking EA as an official tournament host organizer to always have him on these things for these things that are this important or something, because they need to be run better from the moment it starts compared to what that was when everyone's frustrated. So
yeah, not the best overall start, but it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And I think certainly the EWC finals will be fun to watch. All the teams that made it through, multiple teams from multiple regions. And let's the one big note there is a lot of controversy and discussion about a level 12 or 13 character in the game.
Have you seen the brackets?
The brackets? What brackets? What he
like
played? Who he played
the groups, the line groups?
I'm not.
No, not yet. We'll talk about that. If you have them, we should talk about that in a little bit. But last big story here, that allegations, and supposedly there was a cheater that made it to the semifinals. So think about that. Someone who was using hacks or cheating, again, reportedly made it to the semifinals, eliminated other teams' chances from qualifying through in the tournament, and nothing was done about it until maybe later on in the tournament, which is obviously a big story as well. So more to come on that. But overall, the finals were amazing, and we got to give a credit where credit's due to Apex being highly entertaining in the 6-game finals. We did get word that player was banned from lobbies, and the grand finals were fun to watch. Design, I want to get a take from you, and then AJ from you. Your thoughts on the finals yesterday, and Xset and Tripods coming out on
top. Just gotta say, gave Gent a little bit of that game 6 merchant, But we were like the same. We used to do the same stuff on G2 though, so like it's something in the blood, brother. Game 6 merchants, Tripods did it. I'm gonna be seeing my boy Denim at LAN. Shout out him. Super hype for the boys. I didn't get to catch the finals. I was watching like the first 2 rounds though, and it looked about like the same as that Chipotle tournament a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
you guys saw that one? It it definitely looked wild. But I'm glad that the boys made it.
Yeah, I'm sure you were watching. Your thoughts on that finals matchup, and it wasn't just team of Xyz came out of nowhere and placed top 5, played really, really well. Native in third, Oxygen in fourth. So many teams performed. Any takes on the finals?
It was super entertaining. I felt a little gutted for teams like Oxygen or Furia who didn't do great in the finals, because the other teams who qualified were top 8 in Pro League, and they probably have to be kicking themselves because I don't think that was announced that time.
No, I'm very firmly against how a lot of this was announced and how they did not use LAN placements over Pro League placements, if anything.
Yeah, and so for like Oxygen, that probably wouldn't affect them because they didn't do great LAN. But Furia, well, actually, they didn't make finals either, so I don't know if it would have affected either of them. But at the very least, if they knew during Pro League, maybe they would have tried a little bit harder and had added motivation to just sneak up a spot or 2, and it would have been a little bit more competitive. I don't know. That should have been announced way ahead of time if that was going to be the case. But
C9 got screwed and Liquid got absolutely saved.
Yeah, actually,
because C9 was top 5 on LAN. I think they got 5th.
Mm-hmm.
And Liquid got 19th, and C9 was 9th in the overall Pro League standings, and so they didn't make it, and Liquid was 8th. So they qualified, although they did significantly worse and have been honestly struggling as of late. Like, that Liquid roster has not looked good at all recently. And I think that they have what it takes, but it's just, it sucks for C9, and it sucks that it wasn't announced, and I think the fairest route would have been to go with LAN placements, because you at least qualified for that LAN, and to use Pro League when no one knows what they're playing for besides, like, just making LAN, it changes everything. So I think that could be better going forward for sure.
Yeah, and it only affects North America too, because it was 8 auto-qualified spots. All the other regions only sent 8 to LAN.
Yeah.
So like, there's just a couple North American teams, specifically like say Cloud9, that get screwed. So yeah, but I will say the finals super entertaining. From one of the most scuffed tournaments I've ever watched to what we actually got to witness with that late game Tripods win, which they somehow always managed to clutch up in the end. It was very fun to watch.
Yeah, Tripods had won game 1 and game 6. Rocky games 2 through 5, they clutched up when it mattered. Perhaps some of the blood that Design was referencing. And here's the format overall. Let's breeze through these so people are aware. Here's how it's going to work. 32 invited teams. We just talked about that, and some of maybe the lack of communication or expectation setting up front. 8 teams qualified via the online route. That's from 4 different regions, not 5 actually. So 2 from 4 different regions: APAC North, South, EMEA, and North America. And then, of course, our group stage that will now take place on Thursday and Friday of the Esports World Cup in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. 40 teams total, 2 groups of 20 teams, 10 maps per group, same points for elimination and placement. But the first through 9th teams automatically qualified to the grand finals. This is different than the LGS LAN format. 10 through 19th drop to the last chance stage, which will be hosted on Friday. And this part can be grueling. Remaining 18 teams are eliminated. So for some reason, they love this top 2 number. Yeah, top 2 is going to be the only ones that will qualify to the final stage on Saturday. Where will be the match point final on LAN for $2 million in
Can we pull up these groups?
10 games, top 2.
Yeah, can we pull up these groups from Liquipedia? Yeah, I'll link it.
They post on Wikipedia. We can talk about it. I don't know if we have graphics for it.
I have it pulled up. I can link it.
Dude, it is wild.
They're stacked.
Did you link it?
Yeah,
no, one of the
groups. If you could do some magician.
One of the groups is a finals lobby.
Nuts.
My group is a fucking absolute finals lobby.
I'm curious.
I reached out
I'm in the group.
That's what BMX. He's trying to pull it up.
That's why I was looking at that TSM trial and I was like,
also,
ooh, might have to go there, bro. Their group is looking free.
I don't know if this is actually true, and I know Tempo's in the chat, so maybe you can confirm. Did you guys hear that there might be viewer voting for the maps that are being played?
I just read that in the chat that someone said, talk about the viewer's choice map.
That is one of the most insane things I've ever heard.
Tempo was saying it is true.
Wait, all 4 maps? All 4 maps?
Just whatever maps are going to be played.
Yeah,
Broken Moon for comp. It's here.
We're going to see like Broken Moon Olympus.
They're going to run one of those. It's definitely going to be one of those for sure.
The fans are not going to troll that hard, are they? I don't think they will.
Look at these groups.
I think they just want to see new maps.
Look at this group
I think they will.
Yeah, it's crazy if all 4 maps are included. Here are the groups: Group A, Group B, and you're saying where's Disguised in this mix?
We're in Group A over here. Circle of Death.
I see it. Second to left. Yeah, that group is insane. Aurora, Dark Zero, Reject,
Legends,
Liquid, LG, DZ. Oh my gosh, dude. This is actually, this is crazy. The other group is not free, but it's...
Xset's in there too. You can't forget Xset.
Oh, yeah.
Like Luminosity, like, I mean, Omit, they did really good at the recent LAN. They placed top 10.
I mean, Group B isn't terrible. I mean, don't get me wrong, Group A is definitely a group of death. But Group B, TSM, Space Station, Moist, Elevate, Fnatic,
top heavy,
Alliance. Yeah, it does.
So Elevate keeps their LAN spot. I was wondering how that was going to work. If it's only Zach left on that team.
Yeah, he auto-qualified because he gets paid $18K a month. So.
I don't know how the roster lock is.
Yeah, one person left on the roster.
They have a substitute. They have a substitute.
They have a sub. We just got word they have a substitute.
This is just based on if they keep the spot. I don't know if there's any information out regarding that, to be honest.
A lot of discussion on that too. Like, should the subsystem continue in ALGS and competitive Apex, which is a little crazy. People just like, the Slurpee situation on that old phase roster snipe was
Well, here, yeah, that's a whole nother topic of conversation, but we're not gonna get into that. Tempo's saying the sub doesn't matter. Their rulebook only says 3 players, so I don't know who would hold that spot.
Who's running this tournament? I don't think Saudi Arabia is the country of Saudi Arabia. Is ESL Facer Group. Okay, so maybe Esports Engine and Facer Group. So ESL Facer Group is running the tournament. Interesting. We'll find out as things are going to get clarified here. But for now, this is the information that we know. Thank you, Design. I didn't realize groups were posted already. That's crazy. So Group A, Group B, and it's going to be a crazy finals. Look, $2 million. Nonetheless, regardless, $2 million prize pool, another LAN that we get for Apex Legends, more opportunities for pros to compete and make a living out of Apex, more content, more things to talk about, more things for fans to enjoy. All goodness. So a massive shout out to the EWC team and ESL Facer Group for putting on the tournament, EA for supporting it. I'm excited nonetheless. We're really lucky to have Apex Legends involved this year. We were not involved last year in whatever the equivalent was last year. So exciting stuff indeed. We're going to finally talk through and transition past Esports World Cup qualifiers onto Pro League. It's time to talk about our week 0 predictions. Essentially, what I want to do is kind of level set early predictions from y'all. Who are going to be the teams that are going to qualify, perform really well? Who are going to be maybe some duds that won't make it, make some bold takes? Who are some dark horses going to be that you think will do well and will qualify? I'd love to get your early predictions here. Let's pick one of each. One dark horse, one dud, and one well-performing team that's going to be just an easy to choose, well-performing team. Design, start with you.
Oh, obviously, I think DSG is gonna fucking kill everyone. No,
you guys are the dud. Is that what you just said? You're the dud. Okay.
Yeah, we're actually all three.
Pathfinder,
we're all three. We're all three. We're the dud. We're the fuck. I think LG is a solid pick. The boys over there are looking good. We'll throw them in there. The dud, we'll throw in a little bit of a. We'll throw in Team Liquid. You know, they've been. Or no, wait. Yeah, Team Liquid. They've been looking a little rough. We'll see if they pop off and bring it back. And then the. What would you say? The wild horse?
A dark horse, like wild card dark horse. Something you wouldn't expect to qualify for LAN, but will.
Yeah. All right. Let me scroll up a little. Let me just see the Group A real quick. I know Group A is juicy. I don't know. Actually, I'm gonna throw C9.
Niall still has the Sentinels,
but that's not really.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're rostered last split.
I'm gonna throw TSM in there because they're getting underrated and people don't think they're gonna do good because they're without Hal. So.
Very dark horse. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. We're gonna replace the word dud. That was a little cruel on my end. We're with disappointment. That's also a little bit cruel. I don't know how else to word it. I guess we tell it like it is here. Jayhawk, you're next.
Team to perform. I am gonna say Luminosity. Like I said, I love the Sykes pickup. They started off really hot last split, then they kind of teetered off. I think that they go crazy here. The disappointment / dud, which feels sad to say, but I think I'm gonna go Complexity. I don't know. I didn't have a lot of high expectations for them last split. They actually really surprised me and did make it to LAN. I just do wonder because they play a very specific play style and they like the ram part, which I'm not a big fan of, but they've made it work. I wonder with the POI draft how that affects them, which they didn't have to deal with like the greatest of POIs, so they could overperform, and this might be a benefit to them. But I do wonder how that specific play style is going to work for them with the draft. And then surprise team. I mean, to me, these feel like lame answers because I don't think they're surprises, but I expect the Xset and Skidmark, former Optic, bounce backs. I think they're going to be hungry and they're going to be back at LAN.
I like that pick. Solid one. We even get the quick roster transition on screen too. Snipe, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, all my answers are pretty much the same. I guess like the biggest shocker that's been doing well in scrims, CCE's been doing really well in scrims with the new system. So I think that could be a roster that not many people know much about. They play zones really well. They pick solid POIs around that, and they lock spots down, get KP with Trevs getting snipes and things like that. And I think we saw Complexity last split play that style of play where they just got to zone, got picks late game, got to late games, and got enough points throughout Pro League. Wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't like some super fancy play style, but it was smart and heads up, and this new system could be in their favor. And then I think the disappointment could be that the Liquid roster. Honestly, I think that this change where they were always guaranteed pretty much purple high armors from edge POIs where they could just run in and fight teams that isn't the same, because teams are able to get those armors, or people are playing a lot of ramparts. And I think that the new system changed up how they have to play, especially with the Evos and the draft system. So I think that could be a bit, and they've just been struggling, and I hope they do well. I think that they're a staple team in the space, but as of right now, it's been tough. And then I don't even know what else I have left. Like the team, like I expect to do well. I think that X roster is going to surprise people. I think, like I said before, there's more to a roster than putting the best fraggers on a single team. So that's it for me, I guess.
Like it. I'm going to throw my thoughts in here as well. Jayhawk, you actually took the thoughts out of my mouth. I hate to say it because I freaking love the complexity story. And I think a story we haven't talked about enough is Kim Chi Lee coming from coaching this team to saying, sign me up, I'm going to play. And then they qualify for LAN. Like, that was one of the best stories. And I think they made it to the grand finals as well. So that was a remarkable story, fun team to watch. But for whatever reason, I think they might be the team that you expect to do well, but won't make it this time around. Team that's going to do the best. No one else said it. I don't think. I think Moist. A lot of people, I wouldn't say sleep on Moist. Everyone knows they're good. But I think they have the potential amidst the Dark Zero and HAL transition as they're figuring things out. TSM trying to refine their identity with Zap and a bit of a shakeup here. I think they have the potentials to be the best team in the league and win out without a doubt. I think the sky's only the limit for that team. And then Dark Horse team, it's a tough one. I think the obvious choice is, for me right now, is Tripods. They're obviously, this Tripod stock is way up given their recent performance, how they've been doing in scrims. I've been talking about that a little bit, but I don't want to say the obvious answer. I want to give it to NGNL, Wave, J-Trips, and Rails. I think they're a good sleeper shot. I don't know if they have what it takes to qualify as a top 12 or whatever it is team for LAN. I think they could, but they've been looking good in scrims. Davis Wave on this squad, ex-DNO coach with Dupe, Rogue, and Prodigy. I think that is a good sleeper call out. CCE's been looking well in scrims. I think those are probably the three general teams, CCE, Tripods, NGNL, that I think could potentially be a huge dark horse and surprise everybody.
What about Stallions? You gotta throw Stallions in there if you're saying that, especially if you're saying complexity.
Retsy and the boys.
Because I mean, complexity, arguably, one of the reasons they went to LAN was that huge day that they had with Retsy, and sure. I think Max looking really fucking good on controller, and I think Retsy's always had it. So, and I think Jalone's insane. I think out of all those teams, all the teams coming in, I think Stallions is definitely going to perform best out of all of them.
I like that take. Alb for me on controller is a giant question mark. That's the reason I didn't throw their name in there, but I like to take.
He's looking good.
He's impressed pretty much everyone who's watched. Like since he, it feels like a full commit this time, and it should be a full commit this time. Like I think he's looked way better this time around switching than he did prior. So I don't know what the difference was, but it got to give him props. He's looking very good.
Those former Halo players, Snipe.
Yeah,
it makes a difference.
Imperial Hal.
I think Alb was
Imperial Halo.
Yeah, Imperial
they could have been.
Hal.
They could have been. I think they were the team that got third too in LCQ when us and DNO went. So they could have been going to champs back in the day. It was. I forgot who it was. It was Retsy, Funk, and
Slayer.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize Retsy was on that team. I knew Retsy played with Avexis in them. Joined that team, A1s and Avexis, and they didn't do too hot. And a lot of people were, saying maybe they dropped. I think they dropped Avexis. I think Detox and A1s dropped Avexis for Retsy and did worse with Retsy. So a lot of people were blaming Retsy, but he's had a really good comeback story. For those that don't know, Retsy was a former pro on Sentinels at the very beginning of the game when Zoms that played Apex and before he went to Valorant?
It was, Sentinels.
He was an Apex pro. Yeah, crazy backstory. But
he also got screwed over in Pro League. He got screwed over because Sweet took both his teammates to grab the spot. And Retsy was the third on that roster, and so he had to sit out the whole Pro League.
No, wait, Retsy did?
Yeah.
I did not.
Like
wow.
Retsy was sitting with spot last split.
Yeah. That was Retsy's Pro League spot that he worked to get, and then Sweet took Slayer and Funk, and then Retsy was the IGL, and then got pushed to the side and had to play through. Yeah,
and they didn't have a sub, so like he's just screwed.
Crazy. And he's someone that you don't hear complaining, you don't hear him talking a lot. He just tries to put the work in and let his gameplay speak for itself, which you got to respect as well. So yeah, it's a great story, great point. Now he has a roster, he has no excuse, and a really good squad, which alone and Albert Lally. So excited to see what that team can do in Pro League. It's gonna be a fun Pro League next week. If you haven't marked your calendars already, mark your calendars. ALGS Pro League begins. And we're going to obviously do our best to stay consistent with After Hours to bring you guys all the content, storylines, interviews with pros like Design and others, following each and every Pro League if we can, if our schedules allow. We're all doing this out of our day job. We all have day jobs, so we're trying to keep up as much as we can and provide content for y'all, but we'll try and keep it up. With that said, we're going to wrap up with our last and final segment, which we typically call State of Apex. We have a chance to do a few things. One, hype up third-party tournaments, show love to the third-party tournament organizers and community members. We're doing some great things to kind of keep competitive Apex alive, help Apex grow, etc. So we'll talk about some of that. We'll talk a little bit about Realm. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that. And then we'll wrap up with, is Broken Moon viable for competitive Apex in general, State of Apex? Let's start with Realm to kick that off. Design, you been enjoying yourself the return of Realm? How's it going?
I played 9 games. Fallout. I played 9 games. I play like 2 games a day, and it's like you see those cartoons when like somebody's like tempers like a thermometer. It's like rising. I like feel that start fucking boiling, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not getting paid enough for this shit right now. And I take the day off.
Give us another clip like last time, Des. Come on.
I'm trying to keep it calm. I'm trying to be reformed. I'm not trying to say anything crazy because last time around I told people to fucking retire.
Yeah,
they should never touch the game.
Fallout's Golden Boy Pottery that you were yelling, bro.
Yeah.
Pottery!
You were yelling at Pottery, dude.
Yeah. I only have so much patience for that, but it's super fun. I'm gonna start doing it a lot more. That they implemented the random drops to get practice with that because they weren't doing that at first, like the first 1 or 2 days.
That's a good addition. Jay, Snipe, any other thoughts on Realm?
I mean, I'm not good enough playing it, so I have no thoughts.
I haven't played it yet. It soaks up all the viewership. But it'd be fun to play like a couple games. I mean, it's fun to have those options. So I mean, I have nothing but positive things to say about Realm in general. I think it's a great way to stay relevant, especially like if you're an up and coming IGL or someone who wants to get reps and you are able to play in Realm with players, and most people are pretty welcome to you making calls or someone taking over. So I think it's definitely a good spot for people to get some practice in and work on certain things that you might be lacking.
Yeah.
I will add
Realm
actually
for me was,
or go ahead. I was going to say from an entertainment perspective as a viewer, I do think fans actually really like it. I think having like a competitive outlet for the players to like actually compete, even if it's solo queue, that's different from scrims because scrims can get, which it's better now, but sometimes it can get a little bit troll. I do think it's really fun for fans to see it, especially when you get to see like your favorite player get to team up with players that maybe aren't as experienced but are sort of up and coming, and you get design rage moments. That's always fun.
That's exactly right. That's one of the coolest parts.
25 subs a day before 25 sub entry fee, and I'll play Realm for the entire day. I'm gonna start throwing the goals up. I'm gonna start throwing the goals up.
Hilarious. You nailed it, AJ. I gotta completely agree with you. And despite the fact that Realm decided to randomly come for my throat last year amidst that madness, I completely agree with you. Which is the weirdest thing in the world because I like talked to the owner almost every day, was trying to help him, and all of a sudden he was tweeting that. But no, jokes aside, I think they're doing things the right way now. A lot of the craziness in the past with some of their intentions and goals with crypto and likeness and image and the fact that they immediately responded to some of the feedback. I think it was BMIC who actually tweeted some concerns around them kind of owning your likeness and what are they going to do with that. Immediately responded, addressed it. I think everyone could agree objectively it's great for the scene, great content, awesome to see a third party, and the fact that they're investing in Apex and not Overwatch or other games I think is awesome as well. So we got to give a massive thank you to that entire team for bringing much needed content. Excited to see more and more people competing, and it gives people a chance to play with their favorite pros and themselves out there, which is the story. It's the story we've all been looking for. With that said, shout out to Realm. Also have to give some love to third-party tournaments out there right now. Of course, there's Realm. Boom TV continues to host Oversight. Shout out to Minus Tempo, Chrono, the whole team putting together Oversight scrims and competitions consistently. Women's Circuit and Risen Rose. I always love having a chance to catch that. I've casted a few of those in the past. Any way I can support with that stuff, please let me know. Lots of ways to get involved in Apex Legends right now. That isn't just you playing ranked with your boys, which I tend to do. Make sure to check out some of the competitive tournaments, start competing yourselves. And thank you, a massive thank you to all the third-party tournament organizers that put a lot of time, effort, money into the Apex Legends scene. People like Crafty Joseph at EA, who's one person who enables all of these third parties. I don't know how he does it. Big thank you to every single one of y'all. With that said, last topic I want to talk about in kind of state of Apex, Broken Moon. You guys think it's a lot of people saying, look, a lot of good, healthy changes here this season and ranked. I'm enjoying it. App has opened up a little bit. Design is hard. No. Snipe, we'll start with you. You think Broken Moon's not viable competitive?
I think it's worth a shot. I think it's stale watching the same things over and over, and we've seen World's Edge for eternity is what it feels like at this point. And I'm all for change when it comes to competitive as long as it's not too drastic. So I think it's worth a shot. They don't have to implement it right away. But I'd say right now is the best time to start practicing and say, hey, we want to throw this in at champs. and maybe have it then. But obviously, any last second change, if they were to say we're going to throw Broken Moon into this next Pro League split, you're going to have an uproar, and it would be unnecessary. But I think as long as they give enough time and say, hey, we're really tempting this or want to test this, start maybe having some low key tournaments, or maybe EA throws some things to get more scrims or little tournaments on that map, whether it's rivals or whatever, to maybe get some experience, to give some incentive behind practicing it. But I'd be excited to see it. I think regardless of if it becomes a comp map or not, just a huge shout out to that team for really taking a map that I didn't see really much hope for with the way that it was just laid out. Promenade was just a death pit. It was just not good, and not just changing a couple things about it, but completely reworking the entire map. Huge bonus. I think it's substantially better than it was before, and regardless has a nice spot in the Apex community as a whole now compared to where it was at before. So
especially in ranked. Zion, you disagree. You don't think it should be in competitive. Why?
Don't. I mean, I guess it can be, but you would be required to run Valk, because I don't think Promenade was ever really the main issue. I think the main issue was the left side of the map. Your Bionomics, your Eternal Gardens, your Divide. Those chokeholds are impossible to cross if one team decides to be a dickhead and just sit there. There's just not enough space to work that left side of the map, where when a zone pulls over there, like the backup Atmo area, it just becomes a fucking pileup. And the only way you could get over those is, I guess, certain evacs can make it over. I guess with evacs in the game, and if you find the correct spots, as long as we make it so they could go over the rocks, I would be down for it. But it's generally you're coming from a lower ground spot to a higher ground spot of the map on that left side, and just those chokes are hell. So hopefully, maybe the evacs will make it better. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Someone please clip that and send me a DM, because I have 3 friends who are level designers at Respawn, working on Apex. I used to work on Gears with them, and they would love that feedback. That is great level design feedback design. Someone clip that, please, and send it to me. Great discussion overall. Jay, you have anything else you want to add to that, or do you feel like they covered it?
I think they should try it, because I agree with Snipe of they shouldn't do it now. But last year after champs, we had 5-6 months of empty space.
Right.
Let's use that. I think it should be moving forward standard. We use that time to start trying out new things, whether it's this whole draft system or map changes or whatever. Because I remember, when we did the Olympus scrims thing, that was fun to watch, and they got feedback and we didn't do it. And so if that's how things are going to go, then I'm open to at least seeing pros try it for a month or two, because we have such a long break anyway. Why not try try this map out? So
completely agree. And y'all won't remember this, but pros did not like Stormpoint, did not want to add it at first too. I remember that for a fact. And now Stormpoint is the favorite map amongst most pros. So yeah, no, I agree. No harm in trying it out. And it's been a while since we've had a new map in Apex Legends. Broken Moon was the last map, and it was 5-6 seasons ago, and a lot of rumors of new maps potentially swirling around there. So all that to say is future will be interesting.
The new map looks fucking sick.
Design just said it. I was going to say it.
Please try that one too.
It looks so cool. I've been saying it since the very beginning, bro. I've been saying we need a map that's like the Hunger Games, but the capital, where it's different sections of it, and it's just all a big city, Hyperscape. I've been saying it for seasons, and apparently that's what we're getting. And dude, that shit's gonna be so sick. Alter's gonna be sick on that fucking map. Wraith's gonna be sick. Shotguns are gonna be sick. Fucking Maggie, dude, it's gonna be if that map comes into comp, it will really it'll really show who's the best teams are, because a lot of maps are wide open. So your comp on a wide open map is gonna be completely opposite than that map that's just a bunch of buildings in a city. It should be fucking. Should be sick, dude.
You got me excited, man. Great points. Appreciate you covered that perfectly. We'll see what the future holds for Apex. And again, supposedly, if you missed it, EWC will have a community chosen map layout, maybe all 4 maps, which we don't know if that's 100% going to happen, but apparently that's been already confirmed. So interesting things to come, certainly. Gentlemen, we're going to wrap up. I want to give each of you a chance to kind of share any final thoughts that you have as we wrap up here, state of Apex or anything in general. You can just thank you, whatever works. AJ, starting with you, and I'll wrap up with Snip3down.
Appreciate you having me on. Really looking forward to this split. I'm very much so looking forward to this next LAN, because obviously everybody's really hyping up the super team now, but Reject is currently on top. They're the best team in the world, and I think that, now that the floodgates have opened, now that Reject has finally done it, the dynasties have fallen off their pedestal, and someone has shown that it can be done. Does DSG finally win that fight? Does Fnatic show up? Like what are all these other teams going to do now that, the big bad super team is teamed up? I think everybody else is motivated, and I'm really interested to see how the whole scene is going to respond.
Design?
I think third time's the charm. So we watched us be one fight away the last 2 times. This one is the nail in the coffin. We're gonna fucking get it done this time.
His closing statement shout out goes entirely to DSG and the DSG fans. I love the loyalty. Snip3down, bring us on with final thoughts.
Man, I don't know. It's been an exciting off season. I'm happy to be back with the after hours. So just want to give a shout out to the team that was willing to throw this back on. The guests who want to come onto the show, talk, and give a little bit of insight from the pro players on things that happen behind the scenes that they may not know about, some storylines. Love to be a big part of that information to the community and just get some dialogue going about a lot of this stuff. So excited to have this show back. Excited, John and I put this back together, and Chrono, BMIC, and everyone else involved. Follow us on the socials, the Apex After Hours, Twitter, and all that to catch these updates. And we'll be back for all of Pro League. So exciting times ahead. I'm excited to see kind of what happens with me. Like I said, once again, want to reiterate, I'm not retiring. That's not, what I was saying earlier, but I want to be, all in. I don't want to be halfway. So just wanted to make sure that's clear.
Snipe is the sexiest pickup on paper, by the way. Earlier was saying it was Koi. It's Snipe. It's Snipe.
Thank you.
Get this boy in
here.
here.
In terms of his physical looks or his gameplay?
Get this freaking sexy guy on paper on a Wasta right now.
Still pick up a 301.
Stat. Dude, I'm telling you, your name's Snip3down. Start picking up the Sentinel, bro.
No, bro. I'm
trying to juice you up.
I already said
trying to juice you up.
This time off, I'm becoming an altar main, and I'm just going to become the best altar player and just be able to. That character's so much fun to play. I can't wait to see her.
Strict prep.
I hope she gets into comp because that's the character I'm running all the time. So maybe
with a sniper in your hands.
Yeah, Sentinel. Quick scoping, throwing some montages out, all the good stuff.
Might as well
bring Snipetality back, man. He's back. OG montage.
Throw him in the montage again. We'll get
That's right.
Muggsy back, and maybe Zola can edit it for us. And good times.
Love to see it. Massive shout out to all 3 of you, and a big thank you again for the great commentary, great discussion points as always. Let's wrap this one up. Again, on behalf of myself and, of course, our team that joined the broadcast today, thank you to Snip3down, Jayhawk with amazing commentary. Same thing with Designful as well. My last shout out has to go similar to Snip3down to the team. BMIC and Chrono, we would not be here without you, and a big thank you to them. I don't think y'all realize how much work goes into this, and it's all just for the love of Apex Legends. So massive thank you to everyone that's watching, all the pros that come on this show, any support that you guys show for our socials at Apex After Hours on Twitter, on Spotify, and YouTube will be uploaded live on each of those channels after this. Any support would be greatly appreciated for a team that works hard to try and bring dialogue, discussion, coverage to Apex. At the end of the day, what is the NFL and NBA, et cetera, without ESPN and CBS and NBC and others to provide coverage? That's our goal, is just to try and provide opportunities, tell stories, help players grow, and help Apex Legends grow. Pro League's going to be a blast next week. Hope you all enjoy it. Hope you all enjoy the week of scrims and preparation leading up to it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Have a great night. That's it for us on Apex After Hours. We'll catch you next time.